There are moments in your life when Allah removes something. You were never strong enough to walk away from yourself. Not because you didn't love it, but because it was quietly destroying the parts of you Allah is trying to protect. Something in your life shifted recently. You felt it. The silence grew louder. The distance grew wider. The people you held on to with your whole heart began slipping through your fingers, as if Allah Himself was pulling them away. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't bad luck. This wasn't an accident. This was divine intervention, because what walked away was standing in front of a future that would have changed you in ways Allah never wrote for you. You're not here to be broken. You're here to be rebuilt. You're not here to lose. You're here to rise. You're not here to chase people. You're here to chase the destiny that's finally trying to reach you. And listen very carefully. What Allah removed was becoming a wall between you and the life He has written for your soul. A life with clarity, a life with peace, a life with dignity, a life with blessings that could never enter while you were holding on to what was harming you. If you stay with me till the end of this message, you will understand something that will change the way you see your entire past. You didn't lose anything. Allah removed what was blocking your eyes. Everything that left you was clearing the path for everything that is coming. This is not a story about loss. It's a story about Allah preparing your victory before you even know it's coming. Stay, because what you're about to understand will finally heal what broke you. Allah removed them because your future could not survive their presence. Sometimes Allah removes a person from your life so suddenly that your mind freezes trying to understand what happened. One day you felt connected. The next day you felt abandoned. One moment you were planning a future with them. The next moment you were questioning your own worth. Your heart broke so quickly that it felt like you didn't even get the chance to say goodbye to the version of you that existed before the pain arrived. But while you were drowning in questions, Allah was already preparing answers. Answers your heart could not yet understand. Answers your soul was not strong enough to receive. Answers that required time, distance, and healing before they could reach you. You looked at the person leaving and thought you were losing a blessing. But Allah looked at the same situation and saw you being saved. He saw your heart bending in ways it was not created to bend. He saw you trying to hold on to someone who had already spiritually drifted away. He saw you lowering your standards to keep peace with a heart that was never at peace with you. He saw you shrinking your voice, your needs, your dreams, your light, just to keep them close. And Allah said, my servant deserves better than this. Dilahu anna lahu allahu. You were trying to survive the connection while Allah was trying to save you from it. There were nights you cried yourself to sleep thinking you were losing someone special. But Allah saw how their presence was slowly killing your spirit. He saw how the wrong person was starting to control your emotions. He saw how your heart was being shaped by someone who didn't know how to treat it. You kept thinking, if I just try harder, if I just become better, if I just stay patient, maybe things will change. But Allah knew they would not, because the story was never written to end the way your heart imagined. Your loyalty made you blind to what Allah could see clearly. You were attached to potential. Allah was looking at reality. You were remembering the good moments. Allah was looking at the damage that would eventually come. You were convinced they were meant for you. Allah knew they were blocking what was truly meant for you. There were signs your heart noticed, but your hope ignored. There were moments your intuition whispered, but your attachment silenced. There were red flags that your soul caught, but your love kept forgiving. Allah saw the burden you carried. He saw the sadness behind your smile. He saw how much strength it took for you to pretend everything was fine when inside your heart was slowly breaking. So Allah did what you were too kind to do. He removed them, not to punish you, but to protect you. Not to break you, but to rebuild you. Not to leave you alone, but to give you back to yourself. He separated you from what was separating you from Him. You thought their presence completed you, but Allah knew it weakened you. You thought their love was your safe place, but Allah saw how unsafe your soul felt with them. You thought you needed them to feel whole, but Allah knew they were the reason you stopped feeling whole in the first place. There were days you begged Allah to keep them. But imagine this, if Allah answered that prayer and allowed them to stay Your future would be trapped behind a door their hands were holding shut. Your purpose would stay hidden. Your strength would stay buried. Your heart would stay wounded. Your soul would stay small. You were thinking about the comfort you felt with them. Allah was thinking about the pain you would feel later. You were thinking about the attachment you built. Allah was thinking about the destiny they would destroy. You were thinking about the moment. Allah was thinking about your entire life. So He took them away without waiting for your permission, because your soul mattered more than your temporary attachment. You thought you were ready to love them forever, but Allah knew they were not ready to take responsibility for your heart. You thought they were part of your future. Allah knew they were only a lesson for your past. You thought losing them was a tragedy. Allah knew keeping them would be a bigger one. He removed them because your future could not survive their presence. You didn't see the harm. You didn't see the jealousy. You didn't see the emotional manipulation. You didn't see the disrespect building quietly. You didn't see how their heart shifted, even while their words stayed the same. But Allah did. He knew that if they stayed any longer, your self-worth would collapse. He knew that if they stayed any longer, your peace would fade. He knew that if they stayed any longer, you would drift so far from Him that coming back would take a storm. So Allah, in His mercy, removed the storm before it reached you. You call it loss. Allah calls it protection. You call it heartbreak. Allah calls it redirection. You call it the end. Allah calls it the beginning. You asked Allah to guide your life, so He guided it, just not in the way you expected, not in the way that felt easy, not in the way that matched your plans, but in the way that would save you in this world and save you in the next. You must understand something very important. Allah does not remove anyone from your life without replacing that space with something meant for your heart, your peace, your growth, your destiny. What was taken from you was taken with knowledge. What was ended with wisdom. What hurt you, so it could open your eyes, your mind and your soul to a truth you would have never learned otherwise. If Allah allowed that person to stay, your life would not move. Your heart would not heal. Your purpose would not awaken. Your future would not unfold. You would remain stuck in a cycle of almost half love, half effort, half commitment, half trust. Your soul would live incomplete while begging to be free. Allah loved you too much to let you settle for half of anything. There were things about them you could not see. There were things in their heart they hid well. There were intentions they spoke softly but lived differently. There were promises they made but never truly meant. You believed their words because your heart was honest. But Allah saw their actions when you weren't looking. He saw the conversations behind your back. He saw the thoughts they never revealed. He saw the shifts in their soul that your love blinded you from noticing. And so He removed them before your heart broke beyond repair. You kept telling yourself, they care. Allah knew they didn't. You kept telling yourself, they'll change. Allah knew they wouldn't. You kept telling yourself, they're trying. Allah knew the effort was only temporary. You kept telling yourself, they're mine. But Allah knew they were never written for you. If they were written for you, nothing could take them away. But if they were not written for you, nothing could make them stay. So Allah stepped into your life. The moment your soul grew silent, under the weight of pretending everything was okay, He stepped in. When you were too tired to fight for what was draining you, He stepped in. When your heart was begging for peace, while your mind was begging for clarity, He stepped in. Not when you were strong, but when you were weak, because Allah removes when you don't have the strength to release. He saw how much you gave even when you received nothing. He saw how deeply you forgave even when they didn't apologize. He saw how loyal you remained even when they were careless with your soul. And Allah said, this heart needs protection. So He pulled you away from the person you kept running toward. He closed the door you kept trying to force open. He erased the path you kept trying to walk. Even when every sign told you to turn back, He knew your future heart would thank Him for the pain your present heart could not understand. You cried thinking something precious slipped away, but Allah saved you from something painful that had not yet reached you. If you knew what Allah knows, you would fall into sujood and thank Him for the tears you cried that night, because those tears didn't come from being abandoned. They came from being redirected. They came from being guided. They came from Allah saying, "Mi bilao sa vent I took them away. Before they took pieces of you, you would never get back. You think you were left behind, but in truth, you were lifted forward. You think you were rejected, but in truth, you were protected. You think you were forgotten, but in truth, you were chosen. Allah chose to save you before you even knew you needed saving. He chose to protect you before you saw the danger. He chose to separate you before they broke something inside you that would take years to repair. You may not feel it now, but there will come a day when your heart looks back, not with pain, but with clarity. You will say, Ya Allah, you knew what I did not know. You saw what I could not see. You protected me when I did not know I was in danger. You gave me peace by removing what was blocking it, and your heart will sigh with relief and gratitude for a door that closed, even though it hurt. Because the truth is, the most painful endings often save you from the most painful futures. You weren't losing love. You were losing a distraction. You weren't losing your destiny. You were losing what was blocking your destiny. You weren't losing a soulmate. You were losing a lesson. Allah doesn't take away without giving more. He doesn't close a chapter without preparing a better one. He doesn't remove what you want unless it is standing in the way of what you need. And what Allah has written for you is worth the heartbreak it takes to receive it. What left you was too small for the life Allah is preparing. There comes a time in your life when everything around you begins to feel unfamiliar. Places you once loved feel heavy. People you once trusted feel distant. And dreams you once cherished begin to feel too small for the heart inside your chest. This is not confusion. This is transformation. And transformation is rarely gentle. What left your life did not leave because you were unworthy. It left because your soul has outgrown what your heart was still trying to hold on to. There are moments when Allah prepares a life for you that is much bigger than the one you are trying to live. And to step into that life, He must first remove everything that limits your growth, shrinks your identity, or slows your destiny. You were becoming someone new, but life around you remained old. And Allah knew that the version of you that is rising cannot survive inside the life that was designed for the person you used to be. You were praying for strength, but surrounded by people who made you feel weak. You were praying for peace, but giving space to hearts that carried storms. You were praying for clarity, but living